I didn't really plan on making this video, but while watching YouTube a couple weeks ago, I was looking at some tutorials on how to build planes just out of curiosity because I kind of wanted to know how other people were learning how to build planes, and I realized a lot of tutorials get a couple things really wrong. So, this plane behind me is one that I've made, and I'd like to think it looks and works pretty decent. So I want to just give my 2 cents to those who may have been misinformed on how to build, which I'm going to be completely honest before I start. So many of the tutorials that are out there, they're absolutely amazing. All right? They're great. And they're going to teach you so much more than what I can for a lot of other things. But I got planes down pretty well, so I just want to give you guys my 2 cents a little bit. So, hopping into the workbench, obviously, we're going to get a new vehicle because, duh. So the first thing that I see a lot of people get wrong is where to put the wings and how to orient the control surfaces properly. So I'm just going to show you guys real quick. Going to make a super simple plane, and I'm going to show you every little thing that you're going to want to know for building going forward. How to properly make an engine fit in any kind of build, how to make your plane stable, and how to control it properly. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to build a frame. We're going to go simple, but I'm not going to go quite as ugly as the as the 454 SS Gaming and Builds plane. So, and don't get me wrong, that's not a shot at him. He has some of the best tutorials out there. His plain one is just not one of them. So, first off, we're going to get, I think I'm going to go for a simple, just single propeller design. And the first thing we're going to do is grab a seat, obviously, and just stick it somewhere, right? Let's grab an engine. Now, this plane isn't going to be super big, so obviously we don't want a giant engine, but I think for planes, the medium engine works pretty well. But I would recommend this for like slightly larger planes. Like the plane I was showing before uses these. Now, I am yapping a little bit, so let me just show you right away. So you're going to get one like this, right? Now, the most important thing to note is that this engine alone is not going to make any plane you build get in the sky without the proper gears. So I'm just going to, we're going to put something here. We're not going to make it look too pretty, but we're not going to make it look absolutely hideous either. And what I'm going to do is, it's important that with airplanes you kind of have a very minimalist design. So we're going to grab a radiator because I like to know where my radiator goes before I put anything else down. So that's just going to go into your coolant. I'm sure you guys have seen tutorials on how to build an engine, or even if you're a more modular engine person, congrats. I've honestly never figured out the modular engines because I'm not smart. So we're going to grab an exhaust, and we'll just grab a traditional fuel tank. So that's going to be a fluid tank, because honestly for this demonstration I might just use infinite fuel because I want to teach you way more important things. So I'm going to put that there just for the sake of it. And then we're going to grab a port now. I really like some of the new ports that I guess they're not even new anymore, but I only just started using them. I think these ones came out with a modular engine, so they're not that new. I'm just old. So that one's, it's simple to put in there. Maybe in this case I would still use this one, but super helpful still. So you're going to get that. You're going to set up your engine properly. If I had the right parts on me beforehand, this would have been a way easier time for all of us. But can't be that easy on you guys. So we're gonna just bring this back. Simple engine. Simple engine. This isn't an engine tutorial, so don't make fun of me if you guys are way better. And then just air for the final one. There you go. It's not completely gorgeous, but it's not completely hideous either. So we're gonna, first thing I like to do is you just grab a small gearbox and you double up. You know, you get two of them. And my favorite gear ratio to do is just you go 2/1 and then 2:1. You just do that on both of them. And I just usually, because it's a plane, it's not a car, I'm not going to change the gears while flying. I just get a constant on signal and just stick it on there. You know, that's all you need. Then I'll just grab any generic propeller, probably a small one. Rotor end light. I think these are the ones that are pretty small. Yeah. So that one's relatively small. And I'll make it even smaller. It'll get the job done for today. Now if you guys do want a tutorial on how to like properly shape planes, let me know. I didn't really intend on making this video until I saw some of the other tutorials. So obviously when making an airplane, symmetry mode is going to be your best friend. So I'm just going to bring that back just a little bit because it doesn't need to be anything crazy. Fill that guy. Get my wedge. Come on. There you go. Just pick block one of those. Perfect. Now, we basically have a simple engine setup here. And now here's where a lot of people will probably call me crazy. But I know I'm right, so I don't care. You're going to grab a gyro. That's not how you spell that. You're going to grab a gyro. And you're going to stick it on there. Now, I want to be very clear about something very important. You are going to run everything through a gyro. You're going to put your A and D to your roll. And your pitch, or your W and S to your pitch, and your left and right to your yaw. Now this here, this auto hover right here, do not touch that. Ever. Alright? Not on a plane. You can do it on a helicopter all you want. I don't build helicopters. I build planes. Do not touch this. Ever. Moving on. Still running through the gyro. You're going to move everything to through your gyro to the control surfaces. But when you're not turning this on, it'll add the stability of the airplane. Like it'll still have stability, but it's not going to counter anything. Like the way the gyro works is it's going to like counter any obstacle in the way. So if you roll, it's going to roll you back when you let go. Like it's going to balance you back out, which is helpful for the roll, I think. But the pitch, it's going to always keep you kind of pitching up, which isn't something you want. But you're going to really appreciate this later. All right. I lost count. Another very important tip. When you're building your wing, turn on this little guy, the center of mass. All right? The center of mass is your friend. You want that wing right on the center of mass. Although I should actually probably build the tail before I decide where to put the wing, because until the tail's done, I'm not going to know where that should go. And I'm just going to spice it up ever so slightly, because might as well. And then you're going to grab one of those, obviously. Actually, I might grab a couple of those. Yeah, that works. Man, that's ugly, but still better than, you know. Okay, so as you can see, that did really move the center of gravity back, which is fine. All right? Planes aren't really supposed, like, to have wings right on the front. All right? Like, that is not a good plane design. But this, around here would be, because if I bring that, it's going to bring that forward, right? And you can also use weight blocks to counteract, obviously. Now, this is a design. It's not my favorite, but it's going to work for the sake of the video, you know? Just trying to keep a somewhat short tutorial. So, you're going to round off the edges just to make it not crazy. I appreciate it if you turned. There you go. Now, depending on what kind of plane you're making, the wingspan matters. Depending on what kind of plane you're making, wingspan doesn't. So, for small planes, I recommend not using these giant control surfaces all the time unless you're going to, like, use them for something that's going to take up, like, a whole piece, you know? So if I wanted to do that or something, that would be... I might keep that, honestly. But for my ailerons, which are what roll your plane if you're not knowing of planes, the important thing to note is the direction arrows, all right? Oh, and I already made a mistake. Look at that. So your direction arrows are some of the most important things that you have, all right? You're going to make sure that when something like a control surface is at the back of your plane to steer you, which will be most rudders, you're always going to want to orient it minus, plus, all right? So minus on the left, plus on the right. Same goes for roll. So I'm going to just cut out 2 little spots here on either side. Perfect. And then I'm going to take symmetry off just for this part. And on top, you're going to make minus, right? And you guessed it, plus. So, important thing, depends on how you orient your plane. For small planes, I usually do 2 front wheels and 1 rear wheel. A lot of my bigger planes, I prefer to do 2 back wheels, or sort of middle, like 2 middle wheels and a back or a front wheel. So for these ones, small plane, all you need is a coaster. If you want to get really fancy, you can get the this guy here, and I'll probably use him for this example just because it's pretty simple. Turn symmetry back on. Give him a little bit of space, but not too much, because he doesn't need to, like, completely spread out, right? So, there you go. And your center of mass, it's on the wing. It's not as far ahead as I'd like it to be. But that just happens sometimes. You just get it as close as you can. You just want it to be right in the middle. But the most important part about this entire tutorial that you need to take away from this is to use the gyro. So many people tell you not to, and I will show you the difference after. So, might as well grab one of these, because I guess might as well just use one of these big guys. And, you guessed it, guys. How are we going to orient this? It's going to be minus on top, plus on the bottom. I don't like it like that. We're gonna use these guys. And this allows you, like, it's slightly preference on how you want to build it, but if you're putting the plus on top and you're pushing W to pitch up, then you're doing it wrong. You're wrong. You're not right by any stretch of the imagination. Now, one thing I did forget, you always have to have a battery. Come on. Can't forget your battery. And I'm going to probably just stick that forward so I can balance out the plane a little nicer. There you go. Doesn't look perfect, but gives me some room for buttons and brings the center of mass a little bit farther ahead. And you know, just for fun, I think I'll stick I'll stick a ski on the back of this one because the ski will steer. Just on its own. But you can also use, if you want to use a coaster wheel, just grab a robotic pivot and just use that instead. I'd also recommend running it through a clamp because sometimes they'll turn a little bit too far, at least for my liking. All right, now we're almost set here. We're almost set. So we're going to get just a key button. Also, another thing to note are the wing pieces. I very rarely use the wing pieces, but you can use them, and sometimes they help add extra lift. So without making it look too pretty, you can stick some of those. Make sure the arrows are facing up, because they're going to lift. For this, the arrows are facing whatever direction they are, but I don't really care because I'm not using anything other than... I'm actually not touching any of these. If you wanted to add collective to this one, then go ahead. But that's just an extra throttle lever that I don't really want to mess around with. So speaking of, let's grab a throttle lever. We got a key button. I'm just gonna stick the two on there. Might as well stick it right in the middle, because, no, we're not. I lied. Get a wedge in there to make it not completely hideous to look at. And we're going to run our logic to this. We're going to grab our constant on signal from before and put it to our gearboxes. Throttle to the throttle on the engine. And we already ran all these into the gyro. So now we just implement these. So the stabilized pitch, it's going to go back here to your elevators. You're going to move your stabilized roll to your ailerons here. And then you're going to move this to your yaw. And I don't actually know which way this one got oriented, so we'll just have to do a little test. But you just put your yaw to your steering as well on your wheel, and it's a ski in this case. I usually use wheels. Works if you put it on the front as well. Doesn't really matter how you orient your wheels. It just matters that it flies. And then don't forget, obviously, get your electricity. Grab all that. Then just spawn it in. We'll see if it steers the right way. We'll check that real quick. It does not. So I want that to match the way the rudder's going. Honestly, because this one doesn't have an arrow telling you which way it steers, when it does this, here's another great friend of yours. The numerical inverter. You just stick it on. You put that yaw input into there, and then the output of the inverted number, you stick right there. And now it's just going to go the right way. Boom. Perfect. See? Now we can give it a little test. Steer it onto our runway using our arrow keys. Perfect. Lines up pretty well. Feels like it has a decent amount of power. I was hoping it would go. That's okay. And make sure to pull up. There you go. And now you fly. And you fly pretty well. Now, one thing to note, and this is why I don't like single propeller planes, is the torque on the propeller will just make you kind of tilt a little bit. And that's just physics. Like, real planes do that too. So they usually are offset slightly to counteract that. One of the fun ways in Stormworks to counteract that, if you really want to go there, if you want it to look like a normal plane, don't do this. But if you're just trying to build something that works for your career mode or anything like that, or just works in general, one of my favorite things is to grab the rotor end and just the regular rotor. So the regular rotor allows you to put that, but it also has a piece where you can add on top of this. And basically, you're going to hit, just hit like O, and O will spin this around for you. So now these are going, actually, I'll use U. U will work better. So you're going to just move that around. And now the arrows, they're going in opposite directions, right? So now these two propellers, now this is probably going to be way too much thrust, but that's besides the point. They're going to spin in opposite directions, and it's going to counterbalance that torque problem. See? Now we're no longer rotating any more than we want to. And look how stable this is, right? I let go of the plane, and it's super stable. It's super controllable. My rudder works. Ooh, fancy. And in case you don't believe me about the gyro thing, I'll show you what it's like without it. So if you just grab these, run them directly into these, completely ignore your gyro, because that's what we do. Run W directly into those, and rudder right into those. You're going to see how absolutely unstable these are now, and you're going to thank me. Yeah, it's almost impossible to control now. The gyro really helps with the rolling, but look how it like oscillates, and it does like barrel rolls when I'm trying to turn it. You don't want that. You want a stable plane. Unless you're building the Red Bull stunt plane, you don't need that. Make sure to always shut your ignition off, because if you don't, you're just annoying. Now, don't ever fly without a gyro, guys. That's kind of the main thing. And make sure you know how to orient your control surfaces and where to put the wing. Wing on the center mass, all right? Summed up perfectly. If you guys want to see a more in-depth tutorial on how to build like more detailed planes, just go to the comments section. I'll make another video. Won't take me crazy long. So, you know, if I show off a plane like this, I got one like that. This plane, it flies like a dream. The other plane flies like a dream. You're going to thank me. Just follow all those things. You're going to do great. Good luck if you're a new builder. If you're an old builder and maybe you just wanted to learn something new, or maybe I have it all wrong and you guys are going to blast me in the comments. Go ahead, just comment, or I don't really care. Just have fun playing Stormworks, guys. I like this game. Anyway, have a good one, and I'll see you in the next video.